Mr. Hindy, I'd first like to welcome you to the CIA.
Thank you very much, Mike. Great to be here.
How did you enjoy addressing the students this morning?
You know, the energy in that room was incredible. What a wonderful bunch of students and graduates. And you know, it kind of, it's what I expect of people in the culinary world. It's just a wonderful, spirited, creative bunch of people.
When did you first realize that you wanted to step into the beer industry?
You know, I think really it wasn't until I came back from the Middle East. You know, I lived in the Middle East for 6 years as a journalist. And then I came back to New York. I went to work for a newspaper and I was an editor. And it was kind of boring compared to being a reporter out in the field covering big events. And I had gotten into homebrewing when I was in the Middle East. I learned it from diplomats in Saudi Arabia where they have Islamic law, you can't buy alcoholic beverages. And so making beer at home, I started reading about these small breweries, mostly out on the West Coast, that were starting up. And I always had a kind of conceit that I could succeed in business. I had very little evidence of that, except when I was a kid, I won a lot of contests selling things. So, you know, when the Boy Scouts had a cookie sale, I would sell the most cookies. Actually, when I was 12 years old, I won a contest. I was most popular newsboy in Ohio. And I got a 2-week trip to Brazil. And I think actually that trip was sort of the beginnings of my wanderlust, my interest in seeing the world. But anyway, back in New York in 1984, I just started dreaming of starting a brewery in Brooklyn. Brooklyn has an amazing history of brewing, and it seemed to me a great place to start one of these microbreweries. So eventually I did that with my neighbor, who was a young banker with an MBA who had always wanted to start a business.
In your opinion, as the craft beer segment of the beverage industry expands quicker and quicker every day, it seems like, what do you feel is important for the modern day culinarian as well as other people in the hospitality industry to know about beverage service, mostly in the beer side?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, there are now 2,600 breweries in the United States, and there are another 1,500 in the works. So according to the Brewers Association, everyone in America lives within 10 miles of a brewery now. So it's really become part of our culture. I would say it's been restored to that position. And most of those, all those breweries are interested in the way beer fits at the American table. So we've all worked very hard to promote the idea of good beer with good food. We work with chefs in all our various communities to do beer dinners and educational events to educate people about the incredible rainbow of flavors that there is in the beer world and how it can work to enhance the experience of a meal. So I think it's very important for anyone in the culinary arts to have a good background in beer and brewing.
How do you feel the placement of the future brew pub that is yet to be built on campus, how that would affect the beer industry in the future?
Well, that, you know, the possibility of building a brewery on the campus of Culinary Institute is a very exciting prospect for us. I've been working with CIA grads for 25 years, going back to the roots of the Brooklyn Brewery. Being part of the curriculum here and helping explain brewing and teach brewing to your graduates and give them a familiarity with that, I think is a wonderful opportunity to enrich our connections with the culinary world. You know, Doug Miller, who's developed your beer program here, has done a wonderful job, and we're looking forward to working with Doug, our brewmaster Garrett Oliver, and our house chef Andrew Gerson in expanding that program to include actual brewing of beer.
As we wrap up, do you have any advice for future chefs or current graduates that you just spoke to?
Well, I think it's important for culinary students to know that the success rate of craft breweries has been quite high, much higher, I think, than your average restaurant startup or even business startup. So since the mid-'70s, when craft brewing started, 70% of the production breweries that have started since then are still in business. And 50% of the brewery restaurants that have started since then are still in business. So it is, you know, a good option for a business to have a brewery be an element of what they're doing, be it, you know, fine dining or casual dining or whatever. It's been a very fertile field for chefs and entrepreneurs.
I would like to thank you for your time on behalf of the CIA, and would like to invite the offer to come back and speak privately with the Brew Club.
Oh, I'd be delighted to do that, Mike. Thank you very much for having me.